Because you get to use
stand
mine.
for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have one thing that came in today that we need to add to the agenda, and it can go under new business. It can just go under resignations. So after Sabina, we can add that. So can I have a motion to add resignations
I'll leave
under
that
new
motion.
business?
I'll leave that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, public comment. Yes.
Tony Jamais, Silver Springs Drive. I think we should give a moment of silence for the victims of the 9/11/2001 attack. God bless their souls. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We'll welcome our newest member of the Haddam community coming to meetings, Mr. Marshall Peterson, almost 6 months old. So, he's just sitting front row center smiling, so I like that. So, thank you.
At least now.
Yeah, don't hand them to Bob and start crying. Okay, so we can approve minutes from July 30th and August 21st, so let's do the July 30th minutes. I did look them over earlier to make sure there weren't any typos. Motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? Any corrections? I know you didn't get them until like late this morning, so.
Nope, I read over mine.
Okay. All right, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then the August 21st minutes for the special meeting. Motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Any corrections or
As far as
discussion?
the numbers, that's the only thing I couldn't tell. But everything else looked good.
Okay. All right, hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
What opposed?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't do what I wanted.
I thought it was new. No, it's okay. I thought these were part of the old ones. Okay. So we have real estate refunds totaling $6,214.73. Motor vehicle refunds totaling $2,223.75. For a grand total of refunds for September 10th, 2018 for $8,438.48. So the motion to approve those refunds.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, so in our packet, there's a resolution for sustainable CT. It's a municipality certification that all CCM is behind, that they're encouraging all 169 towns to take part of. I've been working on putting a team together for the committee, and we can grow as we go. A lot of the things that are around this committee are things that the Energy Committee was working on. The Energy Committee took a hiatus for the past year, and I had emailed them to see if any members of the Energy Committee were interested. Jeff Lord, who's on the Energy Committee, emailed me back and said he was interested, along with Robin Munster, because we need people from different committees for EDC. Kristen Battistoni is interested for recycling component, and myself, and is there anybody else who said so far they're interested? Is that it? Oh, and Jessica Condo. So all the committee members are going to be getting an email once we approve this resolution. It's something that it's an ongoing process, something that we We look at recycling, we look at infrastructure, we look at the energy savings we've done, anything that we've done in the community to help make Connecticut be more sustainable on many, many levels. So it's a program where even though 169 towns are eligible to do, I'd say at this point about 25 have adopted a resolution. So it's basically just a formality for us to adopt it. We'll go in, we'll be set with the state, and then they kind of keep track and keep points of things, and they have towns compete against each other. And most of the things don't really matter whether you're a small town or a large town, but there are things to help with our carbon footprint. There's things to help just make us be more efficient. A lot of things with recycling. I talked to a gentleman, as a matter of fact, at the fireworks this weekend, and he reminded me all those bins that we have, those green bins that we put our recyclables in. And the last time the town of Haddam did that was 25 years ago. So I'm thinking there's obviously new residents that have moved in since then. So just making sure that there's things there, and having someone from economic development, someone from the infrastructure committee, I'm going to ask somebody from planning and zoning, energy committee, and then having members within the town hall and within the community to work together. Yeah.
People from
Yeah,
town? Okay.
yeah. So the committee can be as small or as large as we like to. Those people just initially have asked to be involved. So what I'd like to do is, if we can get this resolution set, and then what I'm going to do is just continue with this list, and probably at our next meeting or the October meeting. By then, all the committees should have had an opportunity to meet once, and then they can make a recommendation for a member to come on board. And then we'll try to do it where we'll set up a monthly meeting. There needs to be a report done at the end of the year to come back to us, to let us know what they've been able to accomplish and what they've been able to do. So there is some benchmarks that they need to hit. New Jersey's been extremely successful in doing this, which is where Connecticut, we didn't have to reinvent the wheel entirely. But the presentations that I've seen on it and the time that I spent, they're working with Eastern Connecticut with their renewable energy program. So it's all really good, and it's a bunch of positive things, I think, for us to all do together. So you have a copy, I think, of the resolution.
Yes, I do, yeah.
I don't know if you have any questions on it, but I just wanted to give you a little bit more information than what was actually put in writing. So the vision statement is sustainable, just for everyone to know. Sustainable CT communities strive to be thriving, resilient, collaborative, and forward-looking. They build community and local economy. They equitably promote its health and well-being of current and future residents, and they respect the finite capacity of the natural environment. So we have a motion so that we can maybe be town number 26.
I'll make that motion.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next piece of business is to discuss the Nason Dam. As many of you know, the Nason property came out of bankruptcy almost 10 months ago, almost a year ago, and the town inherited the open space and the lots that were not sold at that time. One of the things with that comes the dam, and the last time the dam was inspected, I think, was 2012. And at that time, the dam did pass. There's nothing structurally wrong with the dam. However, it does need to be, there's a few safety components that need to be taken care of with the dam. There's some concrete and some mason work that needs to be done. For the most part, though, there's a lot of overgrown brush that has grown over the past several years that need to be cleaned out and need to be done. So Jacobson and Associates are town engineers. They've gone out. I've actually walked the property with them, with DEEP, with the engineers from DEEP, to look at the dam. And I asked them to give me an estimate to be able to look to the repairs of this. It's a safety issue. It's something that we need to do. They put a 40% contingency in here, which is pretty hefty. So what I wanted to do is to start to have conversations about what we're going to do, how we're going to fund this. There's a Board of Finance meeting next Monday night. I'd like to bring this to them to start to discuss it. So they're estimating that the work that needs to be done is about $83,000. contingency that they're putting on it is a little over $33,000, which comes out to $116,000. These are funds that I was hoping that the pieces of property that we went to sell off at auction, which is going to happen again this Saturday here at noon, would help to offset some of the expense of that. As many of you know, the properties were asking fair market value of $50,000. We did not have any successful bidders the last time. When we met the three selectmen in executive session, it was decided that we would keep the price again at $50,000, but we would broaden the scope of advertising. So we've advertised in the Hartford Current, we've advertised in the New Haven Register for the properties to be looked at. Hopefully we'll have some bidders that will come in this weekend, and hopefully on Saturday, and some of those funds, we still have to go through town meeting and go through the process. But if we are successful, then the funds, my thought process was to take the funds from those pieces of property and use them to offset this expense. Regardless, we need to do it. There was quite a bit of money that was left over last year in the budget, so we do have the funds to do it without having to worry about digging into contingency and things like that. So once this dam is set and we're good, we'll be able to get the sign-off that we need from the state. They've been working with us. The other thing that we need to do, as I've brought up before, is an emergency plan of evacuation. God forbid something did happen. It would more be because of a natural disaster occurring or something happening that dam would release. So we need to have an evacuation plan in place. It's something that DEEP's requiring us to do. The expense to that is going to be about $15,000. Those funds are in the budget for this year, so we're okay as far as that piece. But I did not have these numbers, and it took them several months to get this information for me. So what I really just wanted to do was bring it public to all of our attention. And again, I'd like to be able to take this to the Board of Finance, and by then I might know what happens with Saturday, and then we can look at next steps. But I think preliminarily they are going to bring some contractors in and start to do some estimates. We need to get some access points from Eversource and from some property owners. We actually have to be able to come in from the dam both ways. So we're going to kind of get the ball going. I'm not sure how weather's going to permit. It's something I thought we could actually do this year, but if we can at least get it rolling now, I'm thinking the latest we can probably accomplish it is the spring. And if we have to go to town meeting for the funds, then we'll go to town meeting for the funds.
The $15,000, what is that?
That's separate for the evacuation plan.
What's in that?
A lot of data.
Is that
Not
what
too
it
much,
is?
yeah.
All right, so
Maps,
it's all-
just more of paper type. They thought that they had to do a few evacuation routes for other towns for dams. So they said between 10 and 15, they're hoping to come in maybe between 10 and 11, but the money is in the engineering budget to make sure we're covered in case they hit a snag. So they're trying to use whatever data that they have on existing documents, so they don't have to charge us for it. So it's not necessarily something, Larry, I guess we can vote on to bring this to the attention of the board. I'm not actually going to do a formality as far as a resolution to ask for the funds right now.
Okay.
I'd like to see what happens on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I wanted-
Just hold it off to the next meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about it tonight to just put it on everyone's radar.
Okay, so you have any questions for the next meeting? Maybe we can.
Yeah, okay, all right. Next piece of business is to hire Sabina, and Joanne, you're gonna help me say the last name. Nainan?
Yep.
Did I do it right?
I don't know.
All right, so as many of you know, we had an opening at the transfer station due to Gunner's passing. And we wanted to bring somebody in that really could complement the team working down there. They've all worked closely together, and they have great rapport together. Sabina is a retired Hartford cop. So I love that part about hopefully the stop of emails that I get for abuse of stickers at the transfer station may subside for a while. She's a great person. She's easygoing. Many of you know her. She lives close by. She's walking her dogs all the time. She's just got a great demeanor about her. She's just a really great person.
Yep.
I think she's perfect for the position. So Chris We had put some ads out, we had a few applicants. Joanne and I initially met with her, then Chris Corsa and Pete met with her, and then Rob Kuitt, who is the transfer station supervisor. We all gave her an A++ rating. We think she's going to be a great addition. She's excited about it. I think she's happy she's retired from the police force, but looking for something to do. So she'll be a part-time employee. She'll be working 20 to 22 hours a week. We did talk about increasing the transfer hours just a little bit. So instead of opening at 7:45, maybe open at 7:30, and instead of closing at 3:45, maybe closing at 4. Just add a little bit of window on at the end of each of the days. So she's, with our approval tonight, she's ready to go Wednesday morning. She's just waiting for a phone call from Joanne in the morning with a yay or nay. And she's coming in at $17.50 an hour.
I think it's 17.
$17.85 an hour, which is the starting rate.
This would be a great time for us to put some of her stuff into place. So we can say, these are the stickers without
Yep.
a lot of that, because it's hard to throw new stuff at old people when
Yeah.
she's there now.
Yeah.
And these new pieces went into place.
Yeah.
I think that would be, great
Yeah.
for everything.
No.
Save us a lot on.
Yeah, and help cut down on the abuse and
Exactly.
everything else. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
And she's not afraid of anything either.
She's
so.
not. She's not.
She's quite.
She's great. She
Yeah,
can
she
tell
is.
you no with a great smile on her
Yep.
face, which is what I
You
really.
better listen. I'm afraid.
She would be happy if you heard you say that. No, just
It's my customer. I like
I'm just
teasing.
teasing you. So would you like to make that motion?
Yes, I will make that motion.
And do you know how to pronounce her last name any better than I do?
My wife does.
Lori, how do you say it? Do you know?
I think it's Neihausen.
Okay. I know it's German, that is for sure.
Yes.
So, all right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And the last piece of new business that got added on this morning, Mr. Munster, Ed, we have a NEAC Council, which is Nuclear Energy Advisory Council, because of Connecticut Yankee. It's a council that's been around since we've been partnering and the plant was over there. They still continue to function. Marge DeBold had resigned from being on this committee at, I don't know, what, 2 years? Where'd you go?
Well, it's been quite a...
Longer than that?
Yeah, about
I
at least-
finagled you to get
at
there?
least 3 or 4 years.
All right, 3 or 4 years ago. And Mr. Munster has decided that his time just is not allowing that commitment any longer. We do have a couple in the community who have said that they would be interested in possibly volunteering. So I'm going to, we'll put it out there, we'll send emails out to see if there's anyone else who's interested, and hopefully at the next meeting we can have a nomination to take Ed's place. So thank you for serving
Yes, thank you.
and taking care of it for us for the past 3 or 4 years. We do appreciate it. All right, old business. We've been discussing having a public hearing for Haddam Elementary. And I had a letter that Joanne Nesty had sent that I had read to the board at a previous meeting. And in order for us to be able to have a public hearing to discuss Haddam Elementary, we need to know what the dollar amount is that they're looking for the building. We need to know what the carrying costs are on an annual basis. So before we can go to the public and really start talking about things, to have all this information together to discuss. So Joanne responded in an email, and I'll just read it for the public. Thank you for your email for the future use regarding Haddam Elementary School. To answer your questions, first, we have not determined a sale price. We're evaluating the best way to arrive at that figure. I'll advise you as soon as we have a board-approved solution. That could be as early as September and should help us guide on the decision whether the building and grounds will be sold separately. That's been one of the questions. Are they selling the school? Are they selling the acreage behind the school? Is it a package deal? Are they separating it? What are they going to do? As to your question about the estimated cost of upkeep for the building once it's closed, Our Strategic Capital Planning Committee has determined the cost to RSD 17 to be in the area of $75,000. Please be advised that does not include expenses that are covered elsewhere in the district budget: insurance, maintenance, custodial staff expenses, all of which the town would have to assume if they were going to acquire the building. In addition, note that this is a cost estimate for RSD 17 to keep the building in non-use condition. Should the town decide to utilize the building in any way, it would have to evaluate the additional costs of doing so. I had mentioned to Joanne that at one of our last meetings, there were supporters that came, which is why we talked about bringing it to the public, who wanted to keep the school open as an elementary school. And I mentioned that in my email to her. We would like to reiterate that the RSD 17 Board of Education has made its decision to close HES and is no longer be part of the district once a new owner has acquired it. As the current owner, RSD 17 is moving forward to identify future possible owners, including the town of Haddam. We understand the town is going through its own process to determine whether there is an interest in having the town acquire the building. Please keep us informed as that unfolds. As you, if any other members of the board or superintendent can answer, please do not hesitate to let her know. Sincerely, Joanne Nesty, RSD 17 Board Chair. So as soon as we get this information, I just want to keep it on the agenda so people know it's still, we're working on it and waiting for some more information. As soon as I get updated numbers and figures from them and some decisions again as to how they're looking to make this building and or land available, we will set a hearing at that time for the public so everyone can talk about it. At this point, it's too late to put it on the November ballot. That would have had to happen by last week in order to be able to get it as a question if we decided to go to referendum on this. So the next opportunity for referendum without the expense to the taxpayers, because a referendum does cost between $6,000 and $7,000 for us to hold, would be when we vote for the school budget in May. So that doesn't mean it has to wait till May. I'm just throwing it out there that that's the next scheduled time. It's been slow. I do know that they did have some developers come in and look at it. We also received a letter from Pratt & Whitney. They're interested in expanding some of their facility space. So we, and Economic Development and the Town Planner, have also been talking to Pratt & Whitney for possibilities for that. So this may be something that Pratt's interested in housing and using also. So there's a lot of moving pieces still going on. But again, as the information goes back and forth between the board and of education and us, I just want to continue to make this process be as public as possible and let everyone know an update as to where we stand at this time.
How many acreage is on that school?
You're going to ask me that. 115, I think?
Not counting, I'm just talking.
Oh, so the
building
immediate
lot
property
itself.
that we looked at to go with the school, there's about 5 acres. So that includes the playground, the parking area out back, and then that all-purpose field that's down there. So.
Is there going to be access if we choose to keep that back property? Is there going to be access to that in some way? Or some right-of-way, or
I don't-
how else can you get down there?
Right. It's a lot of ledge, I know that, and a lot of wetlands.
I know there's hiking trails
Yeah,
back there, right?
and the
Years
thought
and
process
stuff like
that they were talking to is maybe it was something that the land trust would be interested in and doing and that type of thing, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Something
So-
we should think about asking, so.
Mhm.
you see
No, I'm
something
happy,
with that
so if there's
question.
any other questions that you want us to ask, or any of the public would like us to follow up with the board, especially when it comes time for the public hearing, I'd like to be as prepared as possible to answer all the questions. Again, at this point in time, I don't have any more information. You know, we just know things of, East Haddam just did the similar process, and they spent about $15 million, right, Karen? Yeah. We have a Board of Ed member here from East Haddam, and they're still not done with what they needed to do to rehab the building for town offices. Again, the fear is it's going to be empty. We don't want it to be empty, but we don't want to take away from another building and then have yet another empty building of what we're going to do. But it is a vital piece of our economy down in Higginham Center, and it's important, and we need to look at what the best use for that is as a community, so we can start to hash it out. And I think, to be honest, having a little bit more time to be able to do that and come up with suggestions. Would be
It's gonna be a hard one.
It's not, it's an important topic, so. All right, do you have any other questions on that?
No,
And
that was-
maybe send Joanne a list if you, as you think of things, and then we'll get them, this Joanne, and then we'll get them off to Joanne Nesty, and we can let the board address those questions. All right. That is all we have. A motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All right.
I didn't get any public comment at the end.
No.
No, okay, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody have a safe night, stay dry.